Good morning, everybody. Happy August. August? Yeah, August. Almost September. I don't know where August went. I don't know where half the months in the summer went. But here we are. Not too many complaints for the summer. A little warm, a little humider than I would have liked, but overall, not too bad. Hope everybody's buildings are doing okay. I know some buildings are more sensitive than others, especially any of you with a historic house museum setup. Ours haven't been too bad. We're keeping an eye on stuff, and so far we're all right. My basement at my house is, my dehumidifier is going crazy, but that's a good thing. Not two hands here. Good. So hopefully there haven't been too many sweaty days in attics or too many humidity issues or anything like that. Today we're going to talk about searching. And I'm going to, as usual, I'm going to use the sandbox and then probably flip over to Fairfield because I know what's there and it might give us more stuff to search on because some of the records are a little more full than they tend to be in the sandbox. One thing that I did want to start out with, and kind of the main idea behind a lot of this, is there's a bunch of different searches you can do. And how you search is partially going to be, you figure that out by what you're looking for results. This is also kind of goes hand in hand with your displays and how you want to display things. So you kind of want to figure out what your results want to be. What you want your results to be. Are you looking for a particular thing? Are you looking for a particular type of thing? What's going to be the best, or a big like range of things? What's going to be the best way to go about this? I had a question from someone over the weekend that they were wondering how to pull a bunch of records up and how you could sort them and all that. I'm like, it's a really good question. I have many answers for you, but tell me more about what you want your results to look like. Are you coming up with a list to print out for your board? Are you coming up with a working group of items for you to work through a project to give to volunteers? Like, how are you searching? The thing about the why you search is also very tied into, do you actually need to do a search, or do you need to look at everything and filter stuff out? A lot of the time, honestly, I kind of find a lot of the results that I need by using the filter. So I just want to look at that really quickly. So I'm going to go to Fairfield. And sometimes it seems like a little overkill to like look at everything, but when you see the filters you can use, it kind of makes more sense. Let's see what my random object is. Ooh, interesting. Okay. I have a phantom clock on my database that no matter what, it's always that clock that shows up. So having not that clock is always exciting. I don't have anything against the clock other than it just always shows up. So I'm going to pull up all of my physical objects. Thousand and change. Okay. And then go to my filters up here that I think sometimes it looks like weaving. Sometimes it looks like, sliding filters like you'd find on like a soundboard kind of slidey thing. I'm not sure what it's exactly supposed to be. So we're going to refine our results and you'll come up with a bunch of different fields that you can refine by. This slightly annoying because these will always be in a different order. You're never going to find the same things in the same order. I don't know how it generates it, but sometimes you're not always going to say has media and has public media in the top. It'll be in different places. So don't be nervous. It may not look exactly like that. So actually, I'm going to go, since I have this like this, I'm going to do, rather than doing a huge giant search and trying to craft a thing by which items have photos and which of those photos are public access, I don't have to create a whole giant weird search for that. I can just go to the filters and pull stuff up like that. I'll probably come back here for something else in a second. So I'm just going to say has public media, and then it'll actually give you a not accessible to the public or accessible to the public. It doesn't just automatically pull it up. So along with finding the stuff that is all accessible, you can see what isn't accessible. So I'm going to see I've got over 4,800 not accessible to the public. Part of this is probably because we didn't want them to be, but also when we first started adding media to stuff a million years ago, we didn't have the same workflow that we do now of pretty much if it's an image that we want to, that we're okay with being online, we'll make it public access right then, even if the record's not public access, because that's one less thing we have to do down the line. So that's why that's such a weird number for us. So a lot of these are snapshots of costumes. So all of that's fine. You can go through all of these. Some hat things. So like this, I don't know why that's not public access, because I think that's a pretty good picture, even though it's a snapshot. So while I'm here, and this is a really good way to do things if you're trying to sort out projects for volunteers and things. So I'm going to go to that media record for this guy. Oh yeah, not accessible to the public. No reason, that should be accessible. It's actually not a bad snapshot. So I'm just going to do an edit. Accessible to the public. The documentation snapshot, that's fine. I have started putting a label. I did put in that. Okay. So save. So that'll be one less thing I have to do whenever I make that first public access. So looking at the results from this, when you go back to those results, you'll still see, I didn't back up or anything, because as I'm sure you know, when you back up, it'll yell at you and be like, we can't find this, you have to resubmit. But when you just go back to that results, clicking on that top results selection, it will still have that filter by results on there. So you will be going back to your not accessible to the public images. So along with that, I'm going to see if I can add a further layer of, and again, this is where this always has different, status, access status is what I'm looking for. I'm going to see how many things I have that are accessible to the public, but don't have media accessible to the public. So only 84, that's not terrible. And it's probably a mix of stuff that has like one image that's accessible and one that's not. This is very clearly a snapshot in our storage unit of a lovely, very wrinkled dress. So this is great information for us to have for our reference and trying to find things. And let me look at media. So I would be surprised if any of those are public access. No, that's fine. So is the dress public access is a question. Not accessible to the public. So that's interesting. I'm going to put our collection source while I'm here as us. And this is an offsite item while I'm here. I just like to clean up records as I go and notice stuff. One less thing you have to do down the line. So interesting, and as always happens, it never does what I want it to do. I'm not sure why this record came up in the search, which is interesting, which is always a good thing to think about if you're doing batch editing on things. Go over your results from your searches before you start going crazy with batch editing, because for some reason this showed up and it shouldn't have in that search the way I tweaked it. Results again. So when you go back to those other results, Oh, see, it actually took that other one out, which is interesting. It just went to not accessible by the public. So anytime you want to go further with that, if you want to clear that, you can either hit clear all if you had a bunch of results or a bunch of filters, or you can just click on the X and it'll get rid of it. One of the things that was more recent, by more recent, I mean the last year, searching for locations is something that a lot of people want to do and can be very annoying. We found kind of a workaround that seems really good. But one thing I will note, let me pull up everything here. I'll just do objects again. You do the filter. There is a current location filter on here. Like again, that was like the next year. So you can see what the current location is and oops. And go that way in previous locations and things. Some of these are good, some of these don't have any. It's mostly the photographs and things that don't have locations, which is standard for us because that's a whole nother kettle of fish with our collection. But you can go through and find things. Here we go for a second. I should have just filtered by not this group of items. This is a archaeological dig that we sponsored from a few years ago that is in the system, but it's very separate from our regular collection. So it's there, which is awesome, but not what I need to find for this. Okay, and they're seeing maps, drawers, things like that. Anytime you have that related storage location, like, or any of the column titles, in blue with the underline, you can click on that and sort by that field. Like you notice that home location thing is not black, but this one is. And it actually just kind of happens, by the way, speaking of the displays, it just happened completely accidentally that the display that popped up is the last one that I was using, which is our location confirmation display that I created for something. I think it was for pulling objects for exhibitions or something that had like current and previous in an image. So that was just luck of the draw that that one came up. For your displays, when you do this at the beginning, because it all kind of relates, anytime you click on the little gear, some say pickle, it'll give you display options. So you can sort by relevance. I have no idea what relevance means. It does this all the time. And I'm like, relevant to what? To my search? Like, I have no idea. So I usually take that off as soon as possible because I either want to search by title or identifier or something else. The fields that are available to sort are usually whatever fields are in that display. So this is a very location heavy display. So it's got title, identifier, I think I threw dates in there, inventory, location notes, things like that. I'm going to go by identifier, number per page. I always put this at the max because it saves me all the scrolling through. So you can have 12 items, you're turning a page every 2 seconds. I usually go with the largest. This is the list layout. The display that you've chosen. We have a pretty long list, partially because I've created a lot at Fairfield for purposes of this. And I just use the displays all the time for different projects that we have going. I have one that's registrar info that relates to when things were taken in or accessions. Review for exhibitions is a very exhibition specific list. So some of these, if I'm doing a search for stuff for the Rev War, and I search a bunch of dates, somehow it's, between 1770 and 1780, just to cast a wide net, because not everything's dated well in our collection. And then maybe I'll say review for exhibitions, so that'll give me more information about it. I've put in condition reports and things like that. So there's a few, as most of you know, and this is for purposes of the recording for other people later, there are a bunch of canned searches that come with your system. So you'll have a few of those. I forget how many there are starting off, 5 maybe, something like that. But again, you can create your own, so you can add as many as you want, whatever is useful to you, either for your own use or for your whole institution's use. A lot of these are not institution-wide at Fairfield. Like this deaccession review is just me because nobody else is looking at it. I may have added the curator to it at one point, but usually I do a different report for that kind of thing. And then you do have this lovely show or hide deaccessions. Sometimes you do want to show them because you're looking to see something that was deaccessioned, but it's still in the building, you need the location. There's a whole list of reasons. I like the option that you can hide things. So you don't say, oh my God, this is great. Oh, we deaccessioned it 20 years ago. So that's dealing with your filters and dealing with your displays and sorting by current location. That's where we started out. And depending on your locations, it'll depend how it's sorted, because everybody's locations are named a little different, but at the very least, it kind of, there's not really like an order, but at least group everything together. And as I note every time, a lot of my old exhibition locations are still in here. This is a current one. So I know those things are in the exhibitions. And actually that's a good way to go through the next one. Oh, and it has, the way I've done this one is it has other related storage locations. So in a home location on here. So if you need to go back further or just do a quick look, you can look at it there and then go into the record and see the location history. For location searching, because everyone's got different ways of recording their location names. We've got things, main storage, that's pretty straightforward. But then we go down, we've got E12-A-02. That 100% means something to me. It's not going to mean anything to anybody else or somebody that's new that's walking in and figuring out what you've got going on. Or trying to remember what the exact order of that is if you're searching. So different ways of searching, obviously the box at the top right, very loose keyword searches a lot of fields. If you're looking for something a little bit more specific, use one of the other searches. So there's other options over here in the top left. Search history, this is the last few things that I've searched. There's the asterisk search. And a bunch of other, I searched for shirtwaist somewhere along the line. I searched for purple fan, my favorite feather, purple fan, you guys may know. Morning I looked for at some point. So if you've got an old search that you're just done, you're like, I know, what did I search that under? Oh yeah, this. So you can click on that and it'll find stuff from that last time you did the search. You can save searches. I've only saved a couple. I've got one from a set. A funky Fairfield items was an exhibit that we did. And I've only saved a couple. Most of the time I don't do anything super elaborate that'll need to get repeated. Or if I have that first time I've created a set, so I don't need to keep redoing that search, I just go to my set. And speaking of sets, you can search by sets on this pull down here. And go in and anything you've turned into a set, you can do a search and pull stuff up. If you're in the middle of this, you did a search, you create a set, and then you go right into search by set and you can't find the one you just created, there's two things that could be going on. Always go, and this is literally like you just created it, go all the way down to the bottom, because very newly created sets will show up right at the bottom of the list. I don't know why, but they just do. Like tomorrow, it'll be integrated with the rest of it and be fine. Or if you're, trying to find a good one here. Or if you're looking for something and you're not finding it, make sure that, or one of your colleagues isn't finding it, make sure you set your viewable options in that set to either everybody in the institution or specific people. We ran across that when we first started using it years ago, when we first got the system. We created a set for one of the exhibits because it was the easiest way to go in and say, this is our preliminary set for our exhibition. And I was saying to the curator, I'm like, yeah, I added like 5 things to the set. And she was like, I don't see that. I'm still seeing the 10 that I did last week. Turned out, because we didn't know about that permission thing at the time, she created a set, I created a set, and neither one of us could see the other one. But the names that we put on them were just close enough to whatever we were doing that we didn't realize it right away. And I'm like, no, because the tavern sign's in that one. She's like, no, it's not. What do you mean? And we figured it out eventually. So when you're creating your set, and I think I do talk about this a decent amount in any of the sets, office hours, make sure you've got your permissions all set for those. So I was making my way around to searching by location. Sometimes you just want to know what's in a particular location, and see if you can pull things up. Oh, I was doing the searching overview thing. So skipping by these guys for now, then you have your options down here, which are the same as the find up here, where you go objects, basic search, advanced search, search builder, browse. Same thing down here once you're in this, basic search, advanced search, search builder, browse. So a lot of time I'll tell people, like, don't decide I need to pick right here, just go to find objects and it'll get you to basically this screen with those options on the left. So your basic search is just going to be that. Comes with the one bar at the top. It's pretty much the equivalent of using that quick find box at the upper right. Your advanced search is going to give you a couple more options. Much like displays, there are canned advanced searches that come with your system, and you can choose different advanced searches. They're up here where it says form, and it gives you a bunch, and I don't remember how many there are. There's only like 2 or 3, I think. But the other beauty with the advanced search is you can create your own advanced search with your own fields that you want, which is kind of why I haven't done that saved searches as much, because if there's something I'm going to do over and over again, I have a type of search, I have a saved advanced search to do things. I think this is the standard advanced search. Yeah, like a standard that you expect to see in an advanced search. I was looking for dresses. I was looking for dresses in the 1870s. By date manufactured. You can, say accessions, any of that, and put that there. So it'll automatically come up with like the last search that you did. There's just type in whatever you need for it. A little word about the asterisk on this end. It does do kind of the Boolean searching, so much like the asterisk that I always use in that quick search form. If you're putting it at the end of something, so I put the dress in the asterisk, that means it'll look for the word dress and then anything else after it. So if I have dresses, it'll look for dress or dresses. It'll most likely everything will be dress, but you never know the way people enter stuff sometimes. So that's just an easy way to pull everything. Yes, Judy.
I have a question.
Yes.
in your title, is that going to pull up just the title, or is it going to pull up, you know how you have like an alternate titles? Is it going to pull up those alternate titles as well?
No, in this advanced search with these specific fields, it'll just pull up the
Just
title.
cool.
So, but if you're, if you're doing a quick search, it'll search both of them.
Right.
If you
Just
have
curious.
your all object, oh no, all object identifier, I don't have a like title, I don't think. And you can create a search that has alternate title as well. So if you're not sure if you are calling things woman's dress or child's dress, or trying to think of some of the weird alternate titles that we have for stuff, you can go and put that field in too. When you're doing the advanced search thing, it's going to search for all of the things that are in these fields. It's not going to do an and or search from here. So this is very specifically looking for dress asterisk in the 1870s when it was manufactured. You can't say like or something else from here. So it won't pull up all the dresses or all the 1870s stuff. But you can pull up, you can create a search that has alternate titles on. There's other options for that too. So does this make sense to everybody?
That is really helpful because I'm finding like sometimes in title maybe they put the title of a book, but maybe I want to pull up a whole bunch of books. So that's why I
Yep.
was kind of and so I've been putting like as an alternate title just book just so I could help with the searching and things
Yep.
like that. So that's why I was
Yep.
kind of wondering if it would pull up both, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, because I know a lot of stuff, especially folks have anybody that came over from Past Perfect, because the way the title name fields was in Past Perfect, until more recently we didn't realize how it came over.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff that was like book and was like Tom Sawyer was the name or something like that. Book would have been the main title, and then the alternate would have been like Tom Sawyer.
Right.
Yeah, we've now, most of the time I recommend to everybody they swap that. So the main one is there and then the secondary is like book. But yeah, that's a big, especially a lot of folks have photo as the name title of their thing, just because that's the way that it came over. And that's when you're looking at a list of stuff, that's not super helpful. And that's kind of where you also use your search in conjunction with your display, possibly in conjunction with your filtering too. Okay, there's something else. Oh, the other thing with the advanced form on your widgets on your homepage, on your landing screen, you can put your advanced search form here too. So I have that on here. I don't use it that much, but you can see this is where if I just want to start here and I know I want an advanced search, I've got this with my title, dress, all that stuff I just had in the other one. And I think I'm pretty sure that's just that one canned advanced search, which covers pretty much all your bases. It won't give you like, oh no, it does give you related entities. It gives you all the main things that you really need. You can put that there, is very handy. So just back to the general find objects part. So you've got your main overall general search, keyword search. Now you've got your advanced, you can narrow things down a little bit more. I'm going to go back to that locations thing, but I'm just going to do this in order. One of the newer searches that we added probably in the last couple years that I absolutely love, and is so useful if you're doing really nitpicky database maintenance, is this search builder. So this allows you to kind of like pre-filter everything. You're kind of doing it as a filter, but you're doing it as you go. The beauty of this one is that you can do, let me do, trying to think of a good one. Oh, credit line's a good one. So you've got your system, you've migrated over. This is really good for a cleanup kind of thing. You've migrated over, you're trying to clean stuff up. You're like, oh, we need to put that credit line and everything. I really wish I could find all the records that don't have a credit line entered. This lets you do like a search if a credit line contains a certain name, or if it doesn't contain something, equals, not equal, begins with, doesn't begin with, ends with, doesn't end with, those I've never used. Is empty, is not empty. Is empty, is not empty is great, because that way you can see where you're missing information. So if I do my credit line is empty, double check I am still in Fairfield. Shockingly, I know I have empty credit lines. So I have, oh, good Lord, 6,900 things that do not have a credit line in there. It's for multiple reasons. Both it didn't have one when we migrated from our own system. That's the main one. Is usually if I'm putting a new record in, I try to do that. And that's another thing that I try to fix as I go if I'm on something. This one we apparently don't know, because I have a question right here in the notes. Was this donated by John Halfpenny? We don't know. I mean, this is a case where I would probably want to use a slightly different view as I'm cleaning it up. So my display options, this is my deaccession review. That's not quite what I want. I'm going to go with my registrar info thing, because that should have related entities and stuff like credit line. It should be right in the like first couple columns, kind of. Identifiers, related entities, credit line. Okay, a lot of stuff not there. The other thing is the way our collection works, photos are considered part of the library. And the way that the library worked, they did not do it on a one-to-one individual basis for things like photos. So that was given as part of like a whole collection. They didn't track it in the way that we do, which my collections manager, little heart withers a little bit more every time I see that, but it's okay. So since I see that this is a problem, I'm also going to filter out stuff that's not photos. So I'm going to refine my results. I'm just going to do type physical objects. So I have 5,000 physical objects. That's weeding out over 1,000 still images out of my list. So that's fine. So I'm just, and I'm not worried about books, documents, or any of the other things right now. I'm just dealing with physical objects. So now I can go down and see that here's my no credit lines, and I've got stuff that has related entities. So that's it just needs to get filled in. So for kicks from this record, it was deaccessioned, which means I also need to add another filter to that. Because I don't want deaccession. I want to see deaccession stuff. Because it doesn't matter anymore. Deaccessioned, hide. Let me see if I get physical type and deaccessioned. Okay, so now I'm down to 4,500 objects. I'm not going to do this as an example because that's its own kettle of fish. Oh, this one's pretty easy. Got a baby bonnet. Also, I've got a bonnet. Somewhere along the line, they started doing all caps. I feel like they're yelling every time I see that. It's fine putting like baby bonnet and bonnet, whatever works for you. Got all my other identifiers. So I have Mrs. Walter B. Lasher was the donor. So while I'm here, I can just put in, and I know this is legit because I know who she is and that she's given us a lot of this type of stuff. Because sometimes you'll get things that are gift of a certain person, but they want the credit line different. And they want it, you know, gift of Mrs. Walter B. Lasher in memory of her, you know, darling husband of 45 years, Walter B. Lasher. And, you know, you can get anything. I know she's straightforward, so just off the top of my head, doing gift of her is fine. Because most of the time, if you're using the lots, the requested credit line, if there is one, is going to be in that lots. So you want to follow that. Okay, so back to my results. So basically being able to search by empty fields is very, very useful. And that's in that search builder. So this is where you can also add ands and ors to this. Say, I'm going to use credit line again, just because I can't think of anything else easily sortable right now off the top of my head. So credit line, I'm going to say contains gift of, or you can add a rule here. So you're adding another line, or the credit line contains request, which would basically be everything. Found 0 searches.
Question. I'm not
Yes.
looking at this. I'm not altogether clear how you tell which operator applies. And if you got more than the two, can they be different? And again, which applies to the comparison between the lines? You know, I see an and an or, and the dotted lines that go to your two different
Mhm.
options.
It's
And
probably really hard to see as you guys are looking at the screen, grabbing my thing, and depending on what size screen you're looking at, there's one is a lighter blue color and one's a darker blue color. And I was actually just going to say, I'm not always 100% clear when I'm doing it, especially where I start out, which is the one that's working. And I don't think my first search, I think I had it on and because I came up with 0. And then I just clicked on the or, which is the darker one, and did the search again. And now I've got 3,800 objects. Before I came up with 0, and that's not correct. So I think if it comes up and you're like, wait, that's not right, try to click the other one. I don't recall what the default is. I think the default is an ands.
so the darker color is showing the active one.
Yes,
I would have thought it was the reverse.
I would have as well, but yeah,
Okay.
you just got to play with it a little bit. Yeah, I would think the lighter one would be like, that's active, the darker is turned off. Yeah. But when I search this, now I'm getting that 3,800 results. Yeah. And I would be getting in my credit line that stuff was a bequest or whatever. Let me trying to think of another good one to use for this. Trying to think of another one that I've used for like, let me see. So you can clear this. Oh, you can also save this search. So if you're doing a really complicated, adding a bunch of things in there, because you can cross over different fields too. So if you're adding another group of stuff, so you can add a group of its gift of, bequest of, and you can do another and or another search within a search almost. This is when it gets really crazy. And if you find this search useful, and oh, let me clear this. I'm gonna delete all this. I thought I had a giant clear, but it's just a delete. So I'm gonna do the accession. Just, oh, is the accession, there we go. Is the accession equal to yes? And in my accession notes, deaccession notes. I want to say contains Augusta, because a lot of stuff we sent to Augusta auctions. So I want to search for everything that was deaccessioned that went to Augusta. And you don't need the full thing, and a lookup kind of keyword on that. Oh, see, this is, because that should be a lot more than this. Ends with empty. So it should just be contains that one. So this is another good example of things not always working the way that I want when I'm doing it. So you do have to play with this to make sure you know where it is, which is also the benefit of when you get it to search the way you want, click that save, and it makes it a saved search. So you don't have to replicate it every single time. Notes. Or maybe it's not in deaccession notes. Maybe it's in something else. Should be though. Might be calling it the wrong fields. Session notes is right. See what happens if I just say does not contain. Because it should be picking up on individual words within there. That search and see what's going on with it. So I'm going to try something else.
Are we back to the and or?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I tried it the other way. And again, hard for you guys to see necessarily. And it still didn't do what it needed to do. So I'm not sure. I have to explore that a little bit more. It's partially because I'm making up weird random searches that I don't necessarily need. Is deaccessioned? Yes. I want to add location. This is where it gets really fussy too, much like making displays and things. It gives you like all these fields, like all the way down that are like endless. So you kind of have to sort through for a while to figure out where the heck they are. See if I can do a location, but I'm not seeing a location in here, but I may have scrolled by it. And it goes by, it goes down through, like these are your main fields here. And then as you get further down, it kind of gets into other things, like miscellaneous, which is really actually good for creation date and time. Sort. I have had luck using things in date searches, like after certain things. Because I'm unsure where how that works with dates, the ends with beginning with something like that. This is definitely one you have to play with a little bit, obviously. You know what? It went back to that. Could be that. Not making you guys excited about the search builder, that I love. It works well for does not contain. Let's leave it at that. And then you have to go play with it because I'm not sure why it's not pulling up stuff that I know exists. So I'm gonna have to go look at this some more. So we're gonna move on to browse. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be clicking around for a while. Browse is exactly what you think it is and has different types of existing titles and years and mediums and sources and access statuses and all that that you can enter. So if you want to put in, this is where the came in really handy as a workaround for searching by location. Rather than trying to put in the correct box number or room number or anything like that and not having the contents, you can click on current location, and it gets a little fussy because of the way some people enter locations, and this is like our old location because shouldn't have dresses location, but it gets weird. This is more where I'm looking, is I want something, whatever's in main storage, and I want to pull up some of my costumes so I know they're in my E range. I want to know it's in E07B. And this, as I'm in that current locations field, it should only be pulling up stuff that is noted as being there right now. So right off the bat, this looks pretty correct because I'm seeing a bunch of quilts. So that makes sense. There's a bunch of quilts in this section and they're all being shown under that location. I've also got, oh, that actually is in there. A couple shoes and things in that spot too. And some of them may have, are broken down further by boxes and things. And this is another one, you can X out of that one, or you can just start over. I want to say current location. It does get odd with finding things and listing things that are in other things. Like if I put everything that is off-site, I don't think it pulls up every single little thing that I have off-site. Because according to this, that would be every single thing that is off-site, even if it's not at our current off-site, but it hasn't been changed yet. I just want, let me see if I can pull out how many things will come up if I just put Black Rock Turnpike. $2,527. It's possible. I would actually think it's more, but I know a lot of stuff's not listed currently either. But it is coming up with Black Rock Turnpike within this box and this box and this box. So that's actually a pretty fair listing of everything we have. That's got an updated current location. You can search by regular locations. I don't like doing it through this. I like doing it through some of the other ways. If you want to search anything that's ever been listed in a certain location, that gets a little confusing and I don't find it usually all that helpful, but the current location is quite helpful. I can search by current Library of Congress subject headings. We did copy cans. Yeah, so we have 2 copy cans that are offsite that have subject headings of copy cans. So it's just kind of interesting to go through and see what's there and browse through things and hit certain things. Oh, Getty, actually, this is a good one for Getty. If you are using Getty for basically your classifications of things, because it does give you the count of how many times that term has been used. It's listed alphabetically, but that number at the end is the number of times it's been used. Obviously, we've got more things in these than like a lot of the ones, but we haven't fully done all of our subject headings at all. Got 26 broadsides. Cool. I have way more than 2 cards to visit, but it's just those terms haven't been put in yet. Because the cataloging and the photographs is being done a little bit differently. And more so belongs to the archival things. Fragments. Oh, let me go fraternal ribbons. That's interesting. So those have topics. So if you're looking for any ribbons and badges and things like that, they're there. Basically the search feature in the system is pretty robust to the point of overwhelming and having to figure out which search you want, what's going to work better, what's going to get you the results you need accurately. So it's really depending. If anybody is looking for something and you're like, I'm not getting the search results I want, should I be doing something different? Like email me and I can help you with it. Because I've used it a bunch of times for this and with a bunch of the different projects that I have going on in Fairfield. I've used, I created a bunch of searches or had to search for oddball things. So. So. Stop recording. See if you guys, because getting close to 11. So does anyone have any questions about